Alright guys, welcome to Flavo Rihanna's MMA show. I'm your host, Flavo Rihanna, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. Guys, UFC Vegas 80. We're at UFC Vegas 80 right now. We're 20 away from the big magic number of 100. Might get that by the ending of 2024. But UFC Vegas 80 was headlined by Grant Dawson. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Dan Hooker. Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green. When this booking came out and this is the main event, I was like, this ain't a main event. This is not a main event. I don't care if it's in the Apex or not. This is not a main event type of a caliber of a fight. And why I say that is because now the UFC, I feel like they are getting lazy with these main events. And now they're just putting anybody in a main event just to say that, you know what, they have a card ready for you. All right. I'm hearing that Joaquin Buckley now wants to be part of a main event. Joe Pyfer wants to be part of a main event. It's just like, main events are for like the creme de la creme type of a fighters. And Grant Dawson, if I go to the grocery store right now, I might get maybe 1 out of 1,000 people to say, hey, you know what? I actually know who this guy is. I saw him in Dana White's Contender Series, or I seen him, fight a couple times, and he's part of American Top Team, which is a very rare thing right there. Because if I go to the grocery store and I ask who the hell Conor McGregor is, or who the hell Michael Chandler is, or Nate Diaz is, I'm probably out of 100 people, I'm probably gonna get maybe about 40%. All right, and that's the deal. And I wasn't happy with the fact that they made this a main event, but here we are. Grant Dawson, came into, I believe he was 21-1. That no contest or whatever the draw. I'm sorry, yeah, it was a draw. Was the results of a 10-8 round that he received against Ricky Glenn, who Ricky Glenn actually did fight on the same card against Drew Dober, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But Dawson's a grappler. He's a finisher. He's gonna submit you. And Bobby Green, we already know what he is. He's a striker. He's the one that normally puts his hands down. His punches comes in weird angles. Now with Bobby Green, he's been having a little bit of a weird, late resurgence. Had a no contest with Jared Gordon. Wins his last fight. Anytime Bobby Green fights, it's kind of exciting, but it's also more or less on the aspect of like, when is this guy gonna lose? Because I remember he was 4-1 during the pandemic, and he ends up getting it together. He ended up he had a no contest against Jared Gordon, defeats Tony Ferguson right on that July pay-per-view, the ending, the not the first one because that was International Fight Week, the ending one. And then you have him being Grant Dawson. Yes, he beat Grant Dawson, and I was very surprised because you know what? The fight only lasted, less than 40 seconds. All Bob, it was a third exchange, right? They were trying to feel each other out, trying to get the range. And Dawson, I don't know what it was. Maybe he had a glass jaw that day. Bobby just throws a left hand, right? A left straight, connects to the jaw, drops him, and then it was just ground and pound from there, and then it was over. I'm like, what is this? I'll tell you what, I did have a parlay on Grant Dawson. I had Pyfer, I had Buckley, I had Karolina Kowalkiewicz and Diana Belbita going to decision. And then I had Bill Algeo, winning. Everything hits except for Grant Dawson, and that was the one I was the most confident on. It's unfortunate, now Grant Dawson is taking a huge step back because he lost against an unranked opponent. Bobby Green is most likely going to be sliding inside the top 10 in the lightweight division, and him being in his late 30s, they're going to just try to catapult him, in my opinion, right? Do I think it's a title shot? No, but I think that he's going to be getting some big names moving on forward. Was able to defeat Tony Ferguson. Now he beats Grant Dawson, who's a top 10. Next, I wouldn't be surprised if they put him against somebody of the ilk of a Dan Hooker who has a big name. I heard people saying that they're gonna put him against Mateusz Gamrot. Absolutely not. they're not going to put him against that. And neither will Mateusz Gamrot actually accept a fight like that, because that's a huge step back, unless he just wants to, keep himself busy. Do I see a title shot for Bobby Green? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. I know he takes a lot of short notice fights. I know he's very active. I know he's very, crazy and resilient and stuff like that, and can, persevere into victories. But, we saw him against, fighting Islam Makhachev, and he got manhandled. I just feel like I really don't believe that he's going to be able to get a win now that he's going to be ranked. I really do believe that he's going to be facing somebody with Dan Hooker, and Dan Hooker is just going to, piece him up, but overall, Grant Dawson taking a huge step back. I don't know if he's going to be able to, climb out of this. If he just starts finishing dudes, and he's going to have to start knocking out dudes instead of just submitting them. He starts knocking out dudes, then you know what? Maybe he'll get himself back. But lightweight is a very, 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 very tough division just to get yourself back to where you were at. One loss can really derail your career, and you're gonna be back in the Apex, fighting on the mid card, or you're gonna be fighting on the co-main event, which really doesn't mean much in the Apex. And I just think that that's where he's heading towards. I can see, I put it down over here. I can see Dawson, fighting, like a Diego Ferreira. They were supposed to fight at one point. I could see him fighting that, or like a Joel Alvarez, something of that nature. And those are not easy fights whatsoever. Bobby Green, on the other hand, he is going to be facing somebody ranked, and we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah. Definitely killed so many people's parlays. Was not expecting that whatsoever, but I also just feel that this is MMA, and MMA, anything can happen. As for the co-main event that you had, Joe Pyfer versus Abdul Razak Hassan, not really much to talk about there. Joe Pyfer ended up doing Joe Pyfer things. He's steps into the octagon, finishes somebody, and then moves on. Doing his thing. I actually thought Pyfer was gonna win by knockout, but Pyfer was able to last at the round in a minute, right? Because that's what Abdul Razak Hassan needs to do. Is that he needs to win before the 6-minute mark. Because if not, he's not gonna win at all. Pyfer just, looked very big to be a middleweight, and I just feel that the way that he just manhandled Abdul Razak Hassan is just, adequate that, he might be the real deal, and I want to see what he got left in him. Put on a good performance. I thought he was in a standing triangle, Abdul Razak, but clearly not. Takes him down like nothing. Chokes him out. I don't understand why Abdul Razak ended up trying to tap with a fist. It looked like he was just trying to punch him on the rib, but ends up going to sleep. Referee pulls Joe Pyfer off, and then Joe Pyfer gets the victory. Who I want next with Joe Pyfer, in my opinion, I want to see Joe Pyfer fight somebody like a Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop. That fight would be insane. One. Number two, I just feel like, someone's going to leaving that octagon bloody as hell. And I just want to see if Joe Pyfer can really, really try to hurt RoboCop, because RoboCop is going to just keep on walking forward. And good luck trying to take out that guy out. All right. I know Bruno Ferreira ended up knocking him out, but, we got to just see, I want to see that matchup. That's the one matchup I want to see. Next, there was a fight with Joaquin Buckley versus Alex Morono. This is a fight that I circled because I'm like, Joaquin Buckley, whenever he's fighting, I'm going to just tune in to watch. Buckley, came in during the pandemic for Kevin Holland at middleweight, got dropped. Buckley stuck around, got a couple of victories, defeated Impa Kasanganov and then he's very famous for that ninja kick. Loses to the Italian guy on the Abu Dhabi card. I think it was Alessio De Chirico. And then, it was just a mixture of like, can Buckley hang around? Can he not? Clearly, it looked like Buckley was just too small for middleweight, and I goes down to welterweight, having a lot of success facing Alex Morono, who is somebody that's very dangerous, who's on a sneaky 4-fight win streak. Goes in there, and it was one-sided. Buckley just, outpowered him. This guy's chiseled to the stone. Was able to muscle through and really hurt Alex Morono, squeezing himself into a decision victory. Joaquin Buckley, is showing that he is in the right division. And what I would love to see is if Joaquin Buckley does fight somebody of a Daniel Rodriguez-esque, whether that's Muslim Salikov or Lingjing Liang. I want to see him fight somebody of that nature just because I want to see if he can get tested. If he's able to get past those dudes, then we can definitely see him getting inside the top 15 and then moving on forward. So overall, UFC Vegas 80 was phenomenal. What's it called? Drew Dober was the next fight on that card. Drew Dober versus Ricky Glenn. And then honestly, guys, I really do believe that Drew Dober is just somebody that needs to be on a pay-per-view card, because this guy, knows how to generate a fan base. Guy is very exciting. He's a fun fighter. He knows how to knock people out. Really put a good licking on Ricky Glenn, who I just said before that Ricky Glenn fought Dan Dawson. He looks like a Dan. He doesn't look like a Grant. For Grant Dawson, and Grant Dawson would look very, very depleted, very, very weak. I guess because of a bad weight cut, but he looked fatigued out in that third and final round, and that led to that 10-8 round. Drew Dober, on the other hand, Drew Dober wasn't waiting to know round 3 to get to it. Drew Dober ends up hurting Ricky Glenn, and Dober ends up landing himself as having the most knockouts in the 155-pound division. He is the king of knockouts at 155, and he landed so many significant shots, punching, hurting, laying a beating on Ricky Glenn. I just really, really want to see if Drew Dober can fight, the top 15 again, because if not, we'll just put him on fun fights, guys. We'll put him on fun fights. Put him on a pay-per-view. Put him on a prelim that's on a stacked card. Guy can generate fans. I'll tell you that right now. His fighting style is very, very fun. But yeah, guys, a lot of good fights in the card. I'm not gonna throw my oil in, but overall, let's get to this. Where is it? Going on Tapology. Nope, that's not how you spell Bobby. Yeah, so like I said, Dan. I keep on saying it again. I keep on calling him Dan Dawson. It's Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson losing to Bobby Green. Joe Pyfer defeating Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Joaquin Buckley defeating Alex Morono. And Bill Algeo defeating Alexander Hernandez. That's another guy. I just feel like he's having a difficult time in his career. Ever since getting that Beneil Dariush victory, I mean, he's been in a weird position. Karolina Kowalkiewicz winning by victory over Diana Balbita. Nate Maness getting a victory, a very important victory. He ended up getting that over Matush Medansha. And then Arichi Lang ended up getting a victory over Johnny Munoz Jr. And JJ Aldridge in the curtain jerker defeats Montana De La Rosa in the first fight of the card. So, guys, moving on. Next week is UFC Vegas 81. Edson Barbosa comes back, and he is fighting Sadiq Youssef. Good card overall. Really looking forward to it. I do feel that Edson, is a dangerous fighter, even at this point of his career. On that card, we should be getting to Terrence McKinney, if I'm not mistaken. Ashley Yoder, who I'm surprised she's still in the UFC, facing Emily Ducote. Chris Gutierrez versus, I can't pronounce this guy's name. Alta Naheli or something like that. Yeah. Oh, McKinney is fighting here. He's facing debutant Brandon Morodi. Darren Elkins versus T.J. Brown. Christian Rodriguez versus Cameron Simon. Circle that fight, guys, just because that is going to be a really good card. That is going to be a really good fight. Edgar Chairez versus Daniel Cerda, the rematch. Michel Prieto making his 185 debut against Andre Petrosky. Jonathan Martinez versus Adrian Yanez. And then Jennifer Maia versus Viviana Araújo as the co-main event. And then obviously Sadiq Youssef versus Edson Barbosa as your main event, guys. It's been great talking to you guys, and I will see you guys for my next video. Please hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.